This is Ron Brown again. It's still July 15th, 2022. My disclaimer, once again, any stock index or ETF mentioned in this presentation is not a recommendation to buy or sell. All trading strategies are used at your own risk. I'll minimize this, and what I want to do now is I did the market analysis, which was actually pre-market analysis, and now it's a couple hours into the trading day, and the market's strong today. So what I want to do is I'm going to go to the ETF sectors expanded, and we'll just take a look at this and see where the strength is, and I'll make this full page. And my view is scorecard ETFs intraday. Sorted on raw combo. The raw combo is, I'll bring it up to show you. Percentage one day change is weighted at 50%, and the range is weighted at 50% on this one. And you can see that the healthcare sector, which includes biotechs, is up the most at 2.32%. It's almost at 100%. REITs are right there also. So is global real estate and the banks. But I can tell immediately from looking at this, I usually like to look down this intraday range and see how many of these are holding above 80% or so, and you can see that most of them are. So the market is strong right now. The volume compared to the 90-day moving average volume is not so strong, but this is early in the day. We'll see how this shakes out. Here's the intraday volume, the last volume, and the estimated volume. This is yesterday's volume, and here's today's estimated volume. So even though it's less than the 90-day moving average, it's estimated to be really strong here. Let's just take a look at this. And what I have here is a daily chart, and I have a weekly chart. You can see, looking at the weekly chart, that this ETF has been range bound for quite some time now. It's finding some support in here. Now looking over here at the daily chart, you can see yesterday there was a low volume test. That's what this magenta triangle square, not triangle, square tells us, and this is a confirmation of that. And you can see the volume down here is not up to the 90-day moving average volume, but I have these other volume indicators in here, and even though it's running low on the 90, it's ahead on the 20-day and the 50-day. It's 122% of the 20 and 105% of the 50. So it's demand. Now let's go to the number one chart, and let's put this in context. What do we have here? We have, if you look over here, you can see there's neither a fan uptrend or a fan downtrend. It's just flat in here. Here are those Vpa signals. This is the yellow diamond, and up bar closing near the high after the test confirms strength. So we're getting a confirmation of strength, but we don't have a 3-6 crossover yet. I'm going to zoom in on this, but that's happening today. It looks like the green is going up through the red. I don't see it on the histogram yet. How about the short term, the 6 and the 18? This is positive. So the 6 is above the 18. Kind of hard to see in here. That's why I use the histograms. And then the longer term, intermediate term, is still negative. But we had, looking down here at the bottom, you can see the volume point of control was rose or negative for a couple of days, and what happened today? It turned positive. I'm going to put the crosshair on. And yeah, it's just turning positive today. Yesterday it was still negative on this low volume test. Now I'm going to switch back to that daily chart, the intraday chart, which is 2A, and the crosshairs on here. There's going to be some resistance up above here when it runs into this area or this area right here. but for now it looks really strong. I'm going to edit this view, and remember I have I'm sorry, wrong chart. Let's go back up here to the number 2 chart. This is the one I want. I'm going to edit the indicator. It's a VPA support and resistance lines. I'm going to make them visible by selecting these, and you can see that there are support lines drawn across here. The main resistance based upon the zigzag indicator is not until we get up to this point. Support and resistance lines are subjective, of course. You can look for them visually, or you can use these lines, whatever you prefer. But they are subjective, no question about it. What I primarily look for, other than support and resistance lines, are the Vpa signals, and of course, putting this in context. It went from expansion to contraction to expansion to the downside, and now it's expanding again, going to the upside. If this rally continues, remember the date is July 15th. When you come back and review this, see what this index did. Right now, it's showing great strength, but there is some overhead supply coming in. Let's go up here and take a look at the bank index. It's climbed to the top of the list. You can see that this on a weekly chart, the bank index is clearly in a downtrend, and it's finding a bottom right now. What do we have on this? The EMA fan is down because the 200's here, the 100's here, 50's here, and the 18 is right here, and then here's the 3 and the 6. 3 and the 6 will be a short-term buy, but because all of these, the fan lines are down, the moving average lines, the exponential moving average lines are down, this just has to be considered a counter trend rally if this continues. For this to be a trending rally, let me get the crosshairs off of here. And okay, it's going to have to come down. It's going to have to surpass this to establish a higher high, and that would really change the short-term trend. And then if it pulls back and forms a higher low somewhere in this area and then takes off, then we would have a real change of trend, at least in on the daily chart in the short term. But for now, putting it in perspective using the number 1 chart, it is strictly a counter trend move. Make this full screen again. Actually, the biotechs are down now. Or this one is the XBI. But it has been strong. Go down to intraday chart here. And you can see how strong this index has been coming off the bottom. Now, using that theory, this came down here. Now this would be considered let's make this a box. This is a low pivot reversal. Why? Because this high is up here. Here comes your low pivot, and then it takes it out right here. So that's a low pivot reversal. Right here, it did the same thing, but it failed. But this one worked. So going back to the arrow, downtrend, reversal. Here's your higher high when it took this high out. Then it pulled back, and what happened? It formed a higher low compared to this. Took off. Just a little pullback here. If it holds here and goes up again, this would be a higher low. and that means the trend is in place on the daily chart for this ETF, which is the XBI. Now let's take a look at something else here. Here is a low volume test on this one. Here's a confirmation of that test, and it's also an up bar closing near the high after the test confirms strength, which is an effort to rise. This is a great signal here. Another test, another confirmation, and it stalled for a few days, but here's another test. I'm going to put the crosshair on. Look how low the volume is here, and this closed near the high of its range. That's why it's a test. Here's an effort to rise, and then it made a few days move and stalled a little bit. Here is a no supply. We'll see if this goes higher. This is a sign of strength also. Not as powerful as the low volume test. It just means volume is falling off, so there's not a lot of selling pressure. When you combine the VPA flags with the context, it really gives you an immediate picture of where the strength is. Now look here, you can see putting the crosshair back on, the 3 crossed the 6 here after these good VPA flags. So the short-term trend was up, or the micro trend, short-term trend was confirmed on this day, and the 3 has stayed above the 6 the whole time. The 3 crossing the 6 to the downside can be a sell signal, but this looks really good with these pocket pivots confirming the move up. These blue bars are 5 or 10 day pocket pivots, and the volume point of control turned positive clear back here on this confirmation day. So those are some of the things to look for. Even though this was in a downtrend trend, it was showing a lot of strength and a lot of VPA flags. I'm going to end this video. I don't want it to get too long, and I'll come back and we'll take a look at some stocks. But you can see how useful the warehouse views are. Now, looking down these columns, I should mention this before I go. This is the days down since the 3 crossed the 6, and the days down since the VPOC crossover. These are the days up on both of these, and you can see that most of these are down. This is yesterday's data because the market obviously has been very weak. There are a few groups where it's been positive, and let's go back to that biotech. Look at this. 17 days ago, you just saw where the 3 crossed the 6 and the VPOC crossed 18 days ago. Let's take a quick look at the home builders, see what's going on here. Okay, the crossover, most recent crossover is right here. Confirmed with the short-term trend at this point. So it's been going up. Once again, look at these great VPA flags here. Low volume test confirmation of that test. This says that there's no demand. Pulled back a little bit. We've had no more VPA flags, but the 3 remained above the 6. So this index looks pretty good. Let's go to this chart right here. Get a little cleaner view of it. And it looks like if this rally holds together, it wants to go higher. Volume is not that heavy today, though. Okay, that's it for this video. I'll be back and we'll take a look at